Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys, welcome to Blamestorming. I'm Marissa Smith. I've got Dave Cyrus with me.
That's my name.
That is your name. I've got Gino Bisconti with me.
Hey, buddies. Hey.
And I've got Sandeep Sen.
All right, who's this British dude that you got to announce the blamestorming?
Yeah.
Where's that guy?
I don't know where he is. I fell in love with his voice, and I was just like, you know something? I want him to announce me forever.
I think his name is Nigel.
Yeah,
It would
Dave
have to
has
be.
a theory
Can
that
Nigel
his name
discuss
is
the
Nigel.
news? Because I'll believe whatever he's saying.
Yeah.
He'll
Right,
convince
he's
me to
got-
vote for Trump. He's like, come on, just vote for Trump, please. He's a very good bloke.
Yeah, he's definitely got that, like,
BBC reporter feel to him.
yeah. Like, I was listening to tons of different announcer voices, and his was just the one that sung to my heart, you guys.
You just found him on announcer Craigslist? Is that a-
Fiverr.
She paid money for this.
Yeah.
Oh, you go to Fiverr and be like, I want someone with a lovely voice that makes me horny, and he just replied.
Well, I didn't realize that I was going to purchase a voice that made me horny. It just was an after effect.
Okay, fringe
Yeah.
benefit.
Like I was like listening to like a bunch of different announcers, and I was listening to like like more like American announcers, like kind of more neutral sounds, female announcers. It actually was between him and a guy that does a Morgan Freeman impression. And I went
screw that
with
guy.
that guy. I went with Nigel instead.
I can't help but notice you didn't even interview any Indian guys. This is racism.
Yeah.
Blamestorming, that's the first topic I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about.
You don't know
like,
what he looked
I'm
like.
taking it back.
You don't know what the guy looked like.
We are talking about current events in the news. Where's that announcer?
That seems more racist than what you're accusing her of.
Even
Right?
from you, this sounds offensive. I don't know why. Even you,
It can't be.
Sandeep Sen, doing that voice, I'm a little offended.
I have
Sandeep is
this-
a
I
brown
know
man.
family.
He can do that voice.
Yes, if black people can use the N-word, I can say that.
Well, we're coming in hot today.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, did you have an opinion on the Apu thing when the people could have said that Apu shouldn't exist anymore because you started in 1987, where obviously it wasn't considered, offensive.
Right.
But of course, no one expected the show to last for 30 freaking years.
Yeah.
Well, that's the issue. Is you can't apply 1987 rules to current. It's not fair. And I want to I think people don't like Apu, or at least part of it is that it's a hacky Indian character. But The Simpsons started the. It's like you can't accuse someone of being hacky when the person who actually started that joke. You can't accuse redneck jokes of being happy and then blame Jeff Foxworthy.
Well, in 1987, having an Indian man running a 7-Eleven wasn't really offensive. It was basically where most Americans who had met their first Indian person because it was much earlier before there was a lot more Indians living here.
That's correct.
Common.
That stereotype is real. Like I know people. I know
At the same
those
time-
those are my friends.
At the same time, I remember early Simpsons episodes where they would walk into the Quickie Mart and it was just the two of them just screeching to the heavens in front of some elephant god that they definitely didn't look up what it was supposed to look
Do not
like.
offer my God a peanut.
Yeah.
Right. No, well,
Like they're just making up long syllabled words and saying this is the feast of and just string of consonants. So there was something.
Oh, it was ridiculously, stereotyped and silly. But The Simpsons did that with every single possible way you can dissect society.
Now, but are you
to
biased?
Jews, to pharmacists?
That's true,
to,
but
to-
are you biased because you look exactly like Mr. Burns?
Yeah, the rich character. They didn't treat Apu any differently than they treated every other person in that realm and every other way you can dissect society. So I never found it offensive.
And on some level of fairness, Apu was never considered like a negative character. It's not
Right.
like he was a villain. He was one of the more respectable people on the show. But you're right. You said you can't judge today by previous standards and vice versa. But, in that same way, it's been a long time. And
He's
maybe,
also like the longest running Indian character on a TV show.
yeah, well,
I think he passed Tonto in episode 300.
Well, I know that. The funniest thing is, I remember I don't watch The Big Bang Theory, but I've seen just snippets of it to get angry. And one time, the guy made a joke about, someone did an impression of the other Indian actor, and they said, "Oh, thanks for making me sound like a Simpsons character." It's like you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because it's animated doesn't really make that much of a difference. Yes, you are an Indian person. But Hank Azaria is, to be fair, very swarthy.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Yeah, that was another problem with the criticism is...
No, he's white. I mean,
right, he is white, but they didn't pick some random white dude. They picked a comedic genius actor who's very qualified.
Who's also playing like 30, 40 people
right.
on the
I mean,
show.
that's his shtick, and you can't just pick a random Indian dude on a show. You have to make it successful, and you have to have like the talent there too.
I don't know. Hank Azaria's, for me, his best work was the Birdcage when he was like, "It's my Guatemalaness."
Well, that was all, but that was in Gay Face. Same problem.
Do we know
he's
in Gay Face?
No, yeah. I mean, he's ostensibly straight. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be offended if Apu was no longer
He comes
there.
across as like non-binary to me.
But the problem is, at the same time, you don't want to ethnically cleanse your characters to avoid offending people. Because then it's like, is it better that they just be no Indian characters, or just Apu, a character they've known for 30 years, just disappears? And
well, I don't get the whole show of The Simpsons is kind of a quote-unquote offensive stereotypes of people, but it's silly and it's in good fun and it's satire. And I didn't understand that you just can't say – it's like basically saying stop making The Simpsons funny.
I just really wish we had like a white blogger who's never been in the entertainment industry to argue with you against Indian appropriation.
Yeah, I mean, we can watch a wonderful program that depicts everyone in the best light. It's just not a comedy then. It's I don't know what it is. It's just a boring fucking show that you wouldn't watch.
Comedy is built around horrible people. That's why there's all white people on Always Sunny. If any of those people were black, it would suddenly be offensive.
Yeah.
Because of how horrible each of them are.
That's a great point.
I've never watched the show.
Oh,
You've
God,
never
it's
watched
amazing.
You would love that show.
It's one of
Yeah?
the best TV
It's
shows
funny.
of all time.
It's
No
stupid.
question.
It's
I don't know. I've
great.
never watched it.
But one of the best written comedies ever.
Oh, boy, I have to put it on the list.
Top 10 written sitcoms ever, I'd say.
All right, Marissa,
Always
you,
Sunny.
me, and the British guy, we're watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Because they didn't constrain themselves. They always were like, we're just going to get canceled for doing this, and they would do it anyway. They would just write stuff like, what are they going to do? Fires? Well, I can't believe they haven't fired us yet. And they just would break the rules and write whatever, and it's great. It's funny. It takes you, brings you full circle back to the Simpsons things you're talking about that we're discussing. I think the Apu character is funny, and I don't even think we're debating that. And I think there's so much stuff that's funny now, and people look for reasons to be offended, like, oh my god. And the whole documentary you brought up, that was just this. I don't even know the comic's name, but that was him trying to, make a big deal out of it, and that's his grab of fame. I can't even remember his name, but he
I didn't even see it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I knew of the controversy.
He's just another guy.
Oh, we're talking about Harry Condabolo?
Kandabalu, yeah.
Excuse me.
I don't even know, but there you go. That's a guy. That's racist. I'm kidding. But there's another guy.
But I got the syllables right, didn't I?
Yeah.
You had like an anagram of his name.
Yeah, that's what people do now. They rather comedy comedy. We know this doesn't have to be funny anymore. So people just like, let me bitch about this aspect of comedy, and it will be classified under some kind of comedy documentary.
Now, let's be fair. If we're going to get rid of Apu, we kind of need to get rid of Dr. Hibbert, too, don't we? Dr. Hibbert is the Bill Cosby character.
Love Dr. Hibbert.
Right. You have to get rid of you have to get rid of that Jew character, Mort, that pharmacist dude.
Well, that's
who's
Family
super
Guy.
cheap.
Well, that's
right?
Family Guy.
Chief Wiggum, like it's just a really bad portrayal of cops if you look at actually what he's
I
doing.
thought
It's
Mr.
not
Burns was the.
Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Mr.
nuclear
Burns is
safety.
not Jewish.
No,
he's a wasp.
he's just he is.
Mr. Burns is an old-fashioned...
He's an elitist wasp. He's
No, they
fantastic.
have
No.
Jews.
I thought he was. I mean, I
Krusty's
knew he
the
was
Jew.
Krusty's
and his
the Jew.
father.
And
Mort
also
Zuckerman.
every other person in the old age home besides Grandpa.
I love Grandpa.
I think there's another thing that we've talked about with when people talk about unfair stereotypes is that there's got to be a oppressed minority thing. Like you can make fun of white people because white people aren't an oppressed minority, and Indians are now. We can't claim racism easily because we're not an oppressed minority. Indians have the highest per capita income of any race in America.
Well, you
I
could
do
say the
this for my
same thing
jokes.
about any Asians in America.
I think so. Yes, I think if you're
There's
Asian,
there still should be some, respect that they're not in power. But yes, you should make a distinction between being actively oppressed by being shot by cops or something. I get that.
right? So I mean, I don't think we can say if there are rules for, let's say, certain ways you shouldn't talk about black people. I think it's less than because you have these Trump supporters like, well, there's white discrimination. Why can this person say it and this person can't? I think there's the oppressed minority thing, and Indians don't need any help. We're fine. And so I
think
I
the
don't like
Indians
that.
working in 7-Eleven might beg to differ.
Oh, they don't mind that stereotype.
Well, they're being
I grew up with
squeezed
them.
out.
I know these people. I grew up with people. They don't mind Apu at all. Believe me, they're fine.
Well, actually,
and they have a lot of cash, and they're doing good. They're business owners.
I'm not talking about the ones that own the 7-Elevens. I mean, working in a 7-Eleven.
They own the 7-Eleven. The ones working are like the owners.
Thank God you're Indian, because this conversation would be so offensive.
They're not just coming and then
I find it charming and enlightening.
I just feel like the people listening need to be reminded.
Yeah, the people the Indians you see at the gas station or the Dunkin' Donuts, or they either own it or it's like their family.
I feel like those people are too busy to care about racism because they probably work huge hours. They probably had to
They don't have the
spend
millennial
every
type
dime.
asshole. They are not that. That's not them. They can give a shit. They don't give a shit.
Well, most people who came here from another country work nonstop and don't really give a shit about like what we're complaining about.
They're
in the
not on
media.
Twitter fucking
Yeah.
watching the
Their
Simpsons.
kids, however, are going to have a lot to say. Their kids are going to really jump in. That's the process though. The first generation works really hard.
Right.
The second generation complains, and then the third generation doesn't have kids. So that's where it ends.
Right, but their kids aren't an oppressed minority, and so shut the fuck up. Like if there's real discrimination, you got, but this kind of shit, it drives me crazy.
I don't have a problem with people saying don't do that stereotype of voice anymore. I would also be okay if they wanted to grandfather in a poo, but no, I get it. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that I'm just like, it's not a big deal for me to stop saying. It's kind of like, we've talked about this before, how like comics all have a different line as to what's offensive. Most liberal comics will be like, I would never say, bitch, or, use the T word for trans people, or use the N word if I'm white, but none of them are letting go of the M word for little people. They all say midget. Yeah. None of them are willing to make that step because that's just like, well, no, I'll lose a joke there. So all I'm saying is, little people, I'm sorry on behalf of us.
I use the M word for trans people. Mistake, right? Is that the M word?
Nice.
Okay, good.
It only works if one of us does it. That's the thing. Otherwise, it just becomes a pile on.
God's mistake. What?
You get to be the contrary one.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
That's why Gino's here.
That's
He's
what
the
I
contrary.
usually do.
Yeah.
Now, Gino, you're an Italian named after a delicious treat.
Yes. Close enough. Biscotti, Visconti.
Is
of
there
course.
anything that offends you
No.
of Italians in the media?
You know what offends me? People that get offended. They fucking offend me.
Yes.
People that sit there and can't take a joke. I can't take it. I can't take people like, oh, it's. You could be offended by anything you want to be offended by, and you see it too much in comedy. Like, I'm offended by Hannah Gadsby. I'm offended that Netflix passes that off as comedy. And then rather than says, oh my God, she's having a meltdown in the middle of her set, they try and market it like a comedy special. Then they slide out the word comedy, a Netflix special. I'm offended by that. I'm offended by a political cartoon they just put out this week where it's not even funny. It's just Kavanaugh's daughter praying, saying, God, forgive my father for drinking too much and raping
well, hold on,
a
Gino.
woman.
Gino, hold on.
That's
When was
just-
the last time you saw a funny political cartoon?
You're exactly right.
Let's be
but
fair.
that guy's not
They're
even
never good.
That guy's not even trying.
Wait, that's funny.
What's
the
that?
cartoon you described?
It's just it's a statement of his opinion. That's not a cartoon. A cartoon is Wile E. Coyote having an anvil fall on his head, and then his head's the shape of an anvil. That's comedy, people. For me.
Well, we
oppressed-
all want to keep the violence in comedy. We agree with that.
Thank you.
Well, the bullied are the new bullies. That's the problem with these fucking people who get offended all the time. Is like, it used to be like the bully would say, give me your lunch money. Now the bully is, he demanded my lunch money and he hurt my feelings. And they use their victimization to bully other people into caring about their feelings.
It's a perversion of something that was intended to make things better, in that anytime something starts building up, someone's going to start making it look bad. Someone online is going to see something that you did that's great and say, I'm going to be obnoxious about this and make everyone else hate it.
Yeah.
So I don't blame people for the fact that happens, because it seems like everything you do, there's going to be people, if they can see a way of getting power out of it, they're going to take advantage of it. Then they're going to say, well, I feel like I can have a voice now. And then first you start saying, oh, this is good that we're getting rid of blank because it's offensive. But then someone else says, well, I want to feel like a hero. I want to feel like I made the world better. So I'm going to not pretend to be offended by something that maybe wasn't to the level that I would have. And I don't know. It just pisses me off, because it's like, I don't want to stop actually trying to make things better. I do believe in making things better. I believe it's fine if people are like, hey, don't call us that anymore. I'm okay with it. It just, people push things to the point that then everyone shuts it out. Everyone gets tone deaf to it.
So, what do you think right now is the thing that you feel like is that people are find the most offensive, but it's like you feel is like total bullshit?
anytime someone pretends to not know that someone was being sarcastic, automatically ruins it for everyone else. Like, that was the most famous story of that was when Suey Park did that to Stephen Colbert. And she wanted to have an opportunity to be seen. And Stephen Colbert did a joke making fun of the Redskins, the team. Because the guy said, well, I'm not going to change the name of the Redskins, but I will make a charity called the Redskins Foundation for the Betterment of Indigenous Americans. And he was like, oh, wow, I'm sure they love that their charity has the word Redskins in it. Right. Just like I'm sure Chinese people would, that Asian people would love the Ching Chong Ding Dong charity to help Orientals.
Right.
And she was like, that's racist, you have to cancel it. And by pretending she didn't know what he was trying to say, when she did a disservice, because now someone was about to stop saying the N-word casually, and now was like, oh, I guess I don't have to because people are saying even that's too much.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like a lot of that has to do with the degree of autism right now. Because I think that there's a lot more people that are autistic that genuinely don't understand sarcasm, and, like, they don't get jokes. Like, there's definitely, like, I feel like, I don't know, and maybe it's like a millennial thing, but like I feel like people under 30 genuinely don't understand jokes. Like, you can say something to them and it just completely goes over their head. And I don't necessarily feel like they're trying to be obtuse, but I think they genuinely don't understand that that's a joke, and they don't understand sarcasm at all.
Well, part of it's not interacting with human beings as much. Not
right.
having conversations as often.
Because they don't have any interpersonal skills.
Yeah, they think getting likes on Twitter or, Facebook is interacting with someone.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I mean, have you ever, like, talked to someone and they describe someone they've never met as their friend?
Yeah.
And you get a little sad.
That's a great point, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name names,
Nothing
but like
wrong
I
with
have
that, having an online presence, but
I have a friend that's been like chatting with this girl that he met on an app like months ago, and he refers to her as his girlfriend, and they have never met.
Yeah, that's not your girlfriend.
That is That's a Manti Teo type situation.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that's some
met.
Romanian who's trying to get your credit card numbers.
Exactly.
Right, but
Manti Teo.
have they had
On
chat
the
sex?
Saints now.
What sort of sex has been had? Have they seen each other naked? Dick pics? Dick pics? What's the situation?
I don't know.
I've
I'm
gotta
not getting
stop
involved
sending
with
those.
the.
Gotta stop sending dick pics.
Huh? Well,
hold on.
Look, if they've just talked online, yeah, I get it. But if there have been,
They've never FaceTimed.
Oh, they've never FaceTimed. Oh,
Stop it.
What about the dick
yeah.
pic situation?
She doesn't
have you
exist.
seen someone's vagina?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
let's get him on the line.
Trying
Let's
to
call
help
this
you. She doesn't
guy.
exist.
Call your British guy, and let's get the. Can we tap them in?
Now, real quick, Gino, you said a thing about dick pics. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing about
What
dick
about-
pics. I agree with you. As entertainers, we're extra careful. We're worried that something will
Oh,
get
we
out.
are?
Here's the thing. I send.
Look at this!
Here's what I do.
It's not even
You
your
said
dick.
that this morning.
I
Gino.
send girls dick
not even your
pics.
dick,
See, that was my bit. I send other people's dicks to women, but I try to find one smaller so that they'll be extra surprised. And then when they see
It's
my
called the reveal in the business.
right,
stage.
and then when they see my actual dick, they'll be like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh, well, it's never gotten this big before. You must be doing something special."
That's a lot of confidence in your personality to know that they'll still fuck you even if you send a inferior penis.
I think every girl who gets in bed with me is already preparing herself for a small dick.
She's already settling.
I feel like if anything, I got nowhere to go but up from a woman's expectations. Between just being short and the fact that I drive a Corvette.
Do you drive a Corvette?
No, of course not. I would never drive a Corvette. I have a normal sized dick.
Even in Manhattan, I can't imagine.
Actually, I drive a mini Prius, which means objectively I should have a huge hog.
right there. I drive an orange Chevy Sonic hatchback, so
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sporting a kayak paddle down here.
That means you are comfortable in yourself downstairs. That's what
am.
I say.
Yeah,
That should be the new smart car logo. If you buy us,
It really should.
It means you have a big dick.
That's actually a great
Actually,
one.
really
Yeah.
should, yeah. If you could get away with that with the FCC, people would definitely jump on that.
The big dick? Nothing.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never sent a nude pic. Like, not even like someone else's like genital. I just say I don't do pics.
All right, well, let's break some ground, Marissa.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
you
there
got
you
three
go.
guys in here.
Has
Yeah.
anyone ever
Drunk.
asked you for one?
There's a first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, they definitely. And I'm just like, I'm not into that.
Funny story about dick pics. First time I ever sent one.
Just seems like you were dying to tell this
Yeah,
story.
he's
the
just
whole
like,
time.
I've got
It
a
is a
story
good
about
story. It was years ago. So
How long have you been dick picking?
I mean, as long as we've had, camera phones. But here's the thing. So I didn't send a dick pic. And this was a girl I'd already had sex with.
Right.
We were a long distance kind of thing.
I did that with one
so
of
that's
my exes,
that's
yeah.
like the most obviously normal kind of situation. She just was like, hey, can you send, a picture of it, just, to help me masturbate. Because, you're long distance. And I didn't want to forever. I was always afraid of it. And then one day I finally broke down. I said, fine, I'm going to send it. I sent it to her. The next day was when the Anthony Weiner thing broke.
But now, you didn't put your face. Did you include your face in the dick pic?
Of course I did. I did to know it's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. That's the one thing I always tell guys.
He's bent.
Always include your face in your dick pic.
He's bent over by his dick.
It's not even easy.
"Ah."
Sometimes you have to actually take two pictures because you can't keep both in focus at the same time. You don't want your dick to be blurry because then she starts asking questions.
That is interesting.
Well, also, dick pics are obsolete now. I'm starting to get dick videos.
Yeah.
Oh, dick gif?
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't a GIF. This guy sent me a minute and a half dick video.
Doing what?
He was
10
kind of
seconds in, you're repeating moves.
he was kind of
just put it in a
dancing
loop
a
after.
bit, and he was bouncing it up and down, and then some of it was
Hold on,
stroking.
I'm writing this down. Bouncing up
yeah.
and down.
Now,
he
hold on.
was kind of just swinging it around.
Was it hard?
Yeah.
Oh, that was his first mistake. You see, you don't want to send a girl a hard dick pic first. You want to give her something to work on. Give her a challenge.
I disagree.
Why
I would
would
never send
anyone-
a picture of
Yeah,
my
no
Look at
one
a
wants
soft
to see a
dick.
flaccid penis.
It's
I don't
just-
even want to know they come that shape.
I'm trying to be. That's just how I. That's just
they
how
do.
I'm
wait,
just
did
trying
this-
to be coy with women. I like to send them a soft dick pic. Be like, it's a real wah-wah moment.
You're really slow playing your dick. That's your whole strategy here.
Kind of
Send him
is,
a
yeah.
soft dick, then a small
See,
dick.
I would think the move now is the FaceTime thing because it doesn't leave a trail. It's all in real time. You call on
They can still screenshot it.
message. Well, I wouldn't worry about that, but I'm saying it doesn't. Whatever.
I mean, at this point, though, is any man actually concerned
No,
that his dick pic is out there?
no,
It's not even a thing anymore.
No,
It's
I
not
agree.
who's losing a job because they found out you sent a dick
Not
pic?
in this business. That's exactly it. Is this your dick, Gene? Sure. Yeah. Okay. What?
I feel like most
You're gonna
guys
take away my spots at LOL this weekend?
Most guys are posting dick pics to build a buzz.
In your 1.5 video, did he come at the end of it?
No.
Do you
Okay.
like to see
That's odd.
the finish or no? I think some women do and some women don't.
I'm not even into dick pics. It's
I'm just
my
gonna
whole
send you a
feeling.
couple.
My whole feeling though is just what am I gonna do with this picture? I'd much rather be in the room with a penis than see a picture of a penis. It's if I was hungry and you sent me a picture of a burger, it's not fucking helping me.
Not gonna do you anything.
It's just I'm not into it.
You want the meat in your hand.
It's yeah, I have a hard dick right now. Oh, great, you're 10,000 miles away. What am I doing right now?
Yeah, I
Why-
never thought of it from that aspect.
Why did this guy send you a 1.5 video if he knew your stance on dick pics?
That's a good point.
Because men don't care what your stance is on dick pics.
Are you sure you weren't being all coy? You
Did
weren't
you
being
say
you weren't
no?
saying no, but you're acting like
I didn't
oh,
ask-
No, don't send a dick pic.
No,
Okay.
he didn't. He was
And you
just
put a bunch of emojis
We are
with
in
the
a dangerous territory, Sandeep, with this what no really means talk you're going
Does
into.
no mean no with sending dick pics as well?
Yes!
But he never asked if he could send it. He was just
Oh, he's fine
he
then.
just sent it.
There wasn't a lead in. There's usually a
No.
coy lead in.
There's no lead. He just
No,
sent a
he
1.5
just sent it. We
video
were
of
just
you bouncing
hey,
his
how
dick
you
up and
doing?
down.
Oh, I'm good. How was your weekend? Oh, it was great. And then just sent me this
no,
video,
you
and I'm
can't
just
do that. Hey, I'm jumping in the shower in a sec. Oh, really? You gotta lead into that.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't any of that.
Here's the thing about this guy. I can tell you right now, this is a no foreplay kind of guy.
Yeah.
If he jumps straight from casual conversation to a 1.5 dick video,
Yeah.
this guy, yeah, he,
You're gonna get 3 pumps and an apology in real life.
yeah,
He
this is
wouldn't
a
even
guy.
apologize.
Done. Oops.
Yeah, this guy likes to get things over with.
Speaking of guys that like to get things over with.
Hey there.
Brett.
Oh no, I
No?
was going to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh yeah, the most handsome man on earth is a rapist.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
You know he's got the second most Instagram followers of anyone alive.
Stop it. I guess I could see that because soccer is, it's huge.
Huge internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted
But I
to-
never would have known that.
I was checking what a friend of mine was at, and that person was beaten by Ronaldo.
Oh, really?
Cristiano Ronaldo, I think, is only losing to Selena Gomez, who I think is the number one, which is the weirdest one,
That's
right?
amazing to me.
Selena Gomez, then Cristiano Ronaldo.
I would think that which Jenner has the makeup line?
Kylie
Yeah.
is beneath those two and a few other people.
Oh, really?
The person that I was double checking is above Kylie. I was like,
She's
ooh.
beneath Ben
okay.
Simmons right now, if you know what I mean.
Oh, is she?
Getting that fucking NBA dick.
Nice. Kylie was like 120. Ronaldo was like 150.
Million?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I've been banned on Twitter 4 different times. I'm on
This is Instagram.
a new account now.
But yeah.
Instagram.
I'm not as good at Instagram because I'm not funny like in pictures.
I've been posting pictures of my new kitten on Instagram.
Oh,
Pretty
I've been
good.
seeing them.
I love that kitten.
6.
6.
Yeah.
Aw, you're
cute
making my
little
day.
kitty.
Yeah. Found her in the backyard.
Did you really?
Well, there was a litter of cats. It was a true New York moment, like, because I'm subletting over in East Harlem now, and it's perfect for it's like a dorm, basically, where I live. But there's a fire escape, and that was the biggest get when I rented the place. I'm like, because you can go outside, I can smoke a cigar out there. It's just, so
That's
I
nice.
go out there like a week ago Sunday, and there's a woman across, and I would say the courtyard, but it looks like downtown Tikrit, that area. No one goes down there. And she's like across the courtyard and up one, and she's pointing at me. I'm like, what? And she's like, there's kittens down there. So, and then a voice from above me, the guy right above my window, like something out of Sesame. She's like, yeah, there's a feral cat that does this every couple months and abandons the kittens. And the woman's like, yeah, I was trying to get him from the landlord. They wouldn't let me in. Will you get him? So now I'm Batman, Sandeep, and I go down. Like I always want to do it. I go down the fire escape, and I'm down there, and there's 5 kittens there, and the other dude comes down, and there's 4 black, gray with white markings, 1 white with whatever markings, and I put them all in. I give them to the guy, and there's right as I'm standing up, there's this 6th one, and she's coming through this fence like the last soldier out of Vietnam. She's like, don't leave me here. And I pick her up, and she just clings to my neck, and she would have clinged to anyone's neck, but you can imagine. And the guy's like, you should keep that one. I'm like, I can't keep this cat. So I give him the cat back. But remember, he lives above me, so
Right.
he's going up the fire escape because Pastor's like, they're just going to put him in a shelter. You sure don't want this cat. He holds a box, and I swear the cat's like, look at how cute I am. And I'm like, give me the cat. Give
that
me the
cat-
cat. But I do love the cat. It's great.
wonder
I've
how
had
much-
cats before.
That cat didn't know. It knew on some level that it was going to die if you didn't love it.
It really did.
But that was 100% true. They don't
Yeah.
stay in those shelters. I mean,
No. And I'm a firm believer, like, I love cats as a comedian because I love dogs, but you can't have a dog in New York, especially the way we live. But the cat, it's like, I'm like, I've like always wanted a cat, but I'm a firm believer in the whole universe. Like the thing finds you. I'm like, this is the cat. This is the one. Because I would have never gotten a white tabby female cat. I'm
Yeah.
always like black or orange dude cats. But
a dude cat.
I like dude because and trust me, she's gonna be the past 2 cats I had lived like 13 and 15 years, and I was always like ground floor window, let them go, they'll come back, they'll have their own life. You know, like
Yeah.
that's how I do. Dude,
I don't
that's
know.
a dude cat.
You gotta
It's a
let-
dude cat.
You gotta
Dave.
let them live their lives. They're people.
They got shit to do.
Yeah.
Stories to tell.
No matter how much you love them, they want to leave. That's true.
If stories to tell, far more interesting than the one I just wasted 10 minutes.
So anyway,
telling.
No,
Christian-
it's
This
fine.
cat, I
Cristiano
just want to be
Ronaldo.
a stabilizing influence on you.
Cristiano
So, like,
Ronaldo
it really
is
I'm a-
is the most handsome man alive.
Tom Selleck is still right there for me.
I don't know. For me, it's always been Keanu Reeves.
These men are in there. Who are these elderly men you guys are masturbating to?
What's your point, kiddo?
I've been in love with Keanu Reeves since I was like 8 years old.
Really?
I
Were
can
you
see
like
that. I could see that.
Yeah.
Was he making you horny in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
He was giving me tingles in places I didn't understand.
Point Break, The Replacements. I love him in The Replacements.
Yeah.
Winners want the ball, Shane.
Guys,
That's a
can we
great
please
play.
talk about rape?
But what about John Wick being the stupidest movie ever made? Well,
He's
I'm
still
thinking
hot,
about
John
it.
Wick. But like Point
Really
Break
talk
was
about
good, but like I think like Constantine, I thought he was the hottest in.
I never saw that.
Oh,
Big mistake in that
Constantine.
movie is he wasn't bi. Because in the comic books, he's bisexual. He would have even been hotter. Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know anything.
That
about
was
comics.
actually people are offended by that they whitewashed his sexuality.
Oh, really?
Because the character is based on his bi, and that
Which
was
gets back to what we said. You could be offended by that. Who cares?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. Well, no, he's got to be bi. It's just a movie.
Well, thank God the movie was considered terrible, so it didn't come up. So there wasn't necessary boycott. But I'm fine with Keanu Reeves. Cristiano
I'm
Ronaldo.
so happy.
Cristiano Ronaldo. 150 million
She seems
Instagram followers.
disingenuous.
The guy is one of the biggest. He's basically the hottest guy alive these days, right? He's the guy in that commercial where like he gets sexually assaulted by or is sexually harassed by a maid who like steals his clothes. And,
Right.
yeah.
I've never seen that one.
He's just in his whole world is just sexual assault all over the place.
And
On
here-
him,
here's
to
all you
other
got to know
people.
about whether or not he did this. He paid the girl $400,000.
Yeah, like $375.
Here's the question: what was his total net worth at the time that he spent $375,000 on her silence?
It was 2009, so I wouldn't imagine it was still a lot of money back then.
No, I'm saying, like, I'm just curious, like, how much money did this guy have? What percentage of his income did he lay out to
Do
keep
you
this
know?
girl
I
quiet?
couldn't tell you.
Any amount makes it look bad. But if he had like $30 billion, you could think, okay, maybe he would just throw this away as a nuisance payment. But I don't know, man. That's a lot of money if you didn't do something.
Oh, I agree. And the thing that gets me about that story versus the Kavanaugh story, and there's a lot of specifics in that story. Unlike the Blasey Ford's like, well, I kind of remember this. She's like, he bought me drinks in Las Vegas at the Palms Hotel. He took me back to his room. When I went into the bathroom, he walked in with his dick. You're like, that sounds like a rape story. That sounds like a very
It also happened in the 2000s.
specific.
It also happened in the 2000s. Happened like 2008.
Yeah.
As opposed to 1982. Now, let me be fair. I 1000% believe Christine Ford. Because I saw her, and I was
2000% do not.
Watching her testimony, I'm like, I could not imagine this woman is lying for this, especially after watching his reaction. I'm not saying that like he did something wrong that gives it away. I'm just saying that unless she did something that makes me think this didn't happen, I don't know, man. I don't see her blowing up her life over this.
So now, Gino, why don't you believe her?
I just think I'm not saying nothing happened. I'm just saying I don't believe this story because she doesn't use any specifics for me.
That's something so specific to people who like go through this, though. You're not going to remember the stuff that wasn't important, but you remember the stuff that was.
Yeah,
she remembers the laughing and the body. That's what she says.
And that it was him. But that sounds like something you would remember from 30 years later. Is like, no, this guy
I think
did
you'd
it.
remember
I
a
don't
lot
remember
more
the
than
weather.
that. I think you'd remember a lot more than that. And I also think, look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I mean, it's obviously wrong if he did it. I'm just saying that you're going back to when a guy was in high school and digging this far and giving these vague accusations. It's just crazy to me that this is what we're judging stuff.
I don't
on.
think he should be prosecuted, but this is a job
They couldn't
interview.
prosecute him, and
Well,
people have already said
they would not
like,
prosecute him, but this is a job interview. It's a different kind of standard.
Yes, exactly. The standard isn't beyond all reasonable doubt. You don't want OJ to be, your president, even if he was found not guilty.
Oh my God, OJ could be president, couldn't he? Right now, I feel like OJ could be
I
president.
doubt it. I just enjoy the fact that in another 2 years they're doing so much. I think the guy Lindsey Graham or Lindsey whatever said it perfectly. It's just like you're sitting there trying to block this for 2 years, hoping you'll win in 2020, and I don't think the Democrats are going to win in 2020 because they're so focused on trying to undo 2016 with shit like this.
His behavior makes it seem much more likely that he's lying. If just say,
He's like a regular.
just say
He's
I
like
did
I like
drink a lot.
beer. Yeah.
No, just say I did drink a lot and I did black out. I didn't rape anyone. But when you start lying for stuff that's that you don't have to lie about. When there is no devil's triangle, when there is
changing the definitions of the little games.
That shows that you're trying to hide shit, and it's much more likely that he's lying. But his reaction to it is why he's lying. And Ford doesn't do that. If you notice, she doesn't fill in the details. She doesn't if she doesn't remember something, she's
just
honest
says,
about saying, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, no, this happened, I'm sure of this, I'm sure of this, I'm sure of this. She's not putting on a show.
And
that's the issue. I think that makes her more honest.
She did come off real good, just like Anita Hill did. And people didn't believe Anita Hill. And you watch her testimony now, and it's like, oh my God, Anita Hill was telling the truth. Like, this girl was so embarrassed by what had happened to her. The last thing she ever wanted was to have to talk about it, publicly.
Yeah, the idea that we have to meet a standard of court of law to not give someone a nomination for the Supreme Court for a lifetime appointment. I mean, this is politics. You get vice presidential appointments just based on what state you're in. It has nothing to do with your character as a person. This guy got nominated because he doesn't like abortion, and it's not the quality of his law.
But it's really because
so
he
there are
doesn't
arbitrary things
believe that a president can be indicted for a crime. Like,
Right.
that's the real reason
that's why he got nominated.
That's
sure.
why
Right.
he's nominated.
So
Like,
there's arbitrary things that you're nominated for. So it's if there's a doubt, if there's 10% chance, you don't get bequeathed a Supreme Court position. Just go back to your fucking life, but don't lie to us and say all the shit that turns out when your testimony is not true. If you're an officer of the court, you have to prove this shit in trial, and it's not perfect. To be indignant that they're asking these questions, he should understand that you have to ask these questions. That's a perfectly legitimate thing to do if she's saying this, and you have to answer for this.
I'll say this. This accusation would have been used against him no matter what the context. If Jeb Bush was president, if any president, and if it was a Democrat, the same thing would happen. This is just the world we live in, where women are believed now, so it's usable. And it's a dirty business. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not saying one way or the other, maybe they did time this to screw him as hard as possible, but that's the business we're in. A lot of things get timed badly. That is not the story here. The story is, should someone be barred from the office if they did this at that age?
Well, you know what I would disagree with? If literally we could
a great
find
question.
that Feinstein is saying, hey, oh, you have this? Don't say it now. Okay, say it now. Now it's like, oh, shit, you just politicized this. But there is no evidence of that. She came forward when she did because this is a public story and she's a citizen of the United States. And she's like, that's why she timed it for now, because she doesn't want him to be on the court.
If they timed it the worst way possible, that's to make it to act like that's comparable to the crime we're talking about is a little
Comparable.
silly. Yeah. Well, those both work,
I know,
don't
just-
they?
no.
But that would lead
I
you to
swear to
believe,
God, I thought they were both.
They are. I'm just doing stuff.
But that would lead you to believe that they're not trying to get at the truth. They're trying to solicit.
But
They
even
would
if
not
they
lie about
were,
this.
that it wouldn't be illegal for them to do it.
No.
But like
But it
the
goes
letter,
to their state of mind and their state of dishonesty.
Right,
but
but
there is no evidence that that's happened. That's
Ford's
the-
letter itself was never leaked. That's the thing that if the letter itself went out, then I'd be like, okay, the Democrats went and this was like a Hail Mary just in case they thought this was going to go through. But the letter itself was never leaked. The information about her was leaked. And you can't say like who leaked it.
We're assuming you're assuming it because they want to say the worst possible thing about Democrats. Look, it might be true. It might be true and it might not be. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change what this is. You're allowed to fuck people as hard as you can with information when you're working on the courts, when you're working on the highest levels.
I couldn't
Everyone
agree more.
fucks everybody.
I couldn't agree more.
Robert Bork was the term Bork refers to finding something, whatever you can, to screw somebody out of the office, like specifically the Supreme
I've
Court.
never heard this.
Robert Bork was in the 80s. He was supposed to be a Supreme Court justice, and they brought up that he smoked pot. They brought up all this shit that
Isn't
he
that
did
ridiculous?
because they didn't want him to be a Supreme Court justice. The problem was the reason they did that is because he would have, for reasons that you could not bar him for, be a horrible Supreme Court justice. Two major reasons. Number one, he was the guy that Richard Nixon got to fire everybody of the Saturday Night Massacre. He was the one guy willing to do Nixon's bidding when he knew it wasn't really legally appropriate. And number two, this is a guy who went around, a hardcore conservative who went around believing in the idea of community standards for morality, where he said that every community should have the right to make any law they want about personal conduct because it has to do with the standards of the community. And he was using that, of course, he was endorsing the idea of making illegal to have just gay sex in and of itself, or even, sodomy, blowjobs, all that stuff. So he was kind of a lunatic, and they were like, well, we can't get rid of him for that. But he smoked pot once.
Isn't that nuts? And it's so funny. I mean, from what you're saying, thank God they didn't. And
No, he was a
that's
huge
what he
piece of
got.
shit.
That's what he got banned for, smoking. Like they found,
That was one of the
he
big
got
things,
high.
yeah.
Oh my God!
That
How
was-
much have times changed?
And all the Democrats were basically like, well, we wouldn't have brought this up if, we didn't hate you this much. But I mean, I think that someone should be able to be on the Supreme Court if they smoke pot. I even think that someone should be on the Supreme Court if they did the other stuff Kavanaugh said, like, whipping his dick out at parties and being
that
an
one-
obnoxious drunk.
Yeah.
That's not what we're here about. The moment he put his, and if he had said he snapped my bra or he ripped my towel off or something, it's the fact that they said he put his hand over her mouth to stop her from screaming, and she thought she was going to suffocate. That's a step I think vast majority of men, hopefully, don't take. And that's when you get to the point where like, that sounds like a guy who did more than just that in his day.
Well, I also kind of feel like if he did do that, then numbers would say that he's done that before, or he's done more than that, because this is just the one that got away. And a lot of people don't come forward when these things happen. I don't know. I feel like I believe Ford. I believe that he doesn't remember.
Because it wasn't remarkable to him, probably, when he did it.
That's
It
a
was
great way
probably,
to put it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, might have been her.
yeah, because I mean, if you're drinking to the point of blacking out, like you don't remember the shit that you do. Like when I was in college, like I had a whole group of like drinking friends from other schools that I did not know. But then on a weekend, they'd like come to my school or call me or whatever, and I'd go hang out with them, and like I was like, oh, these are my friends, and then it'd be like, who are all these messages from? Like, who is this note from? And I'm just like, and I literally had like a group of just like total drinking friends that I did not
Cool kids.
like, I did not really socialize with or even remember really.
But if you're an officer of the court and someone makes this very credible accusation, and there is no axe to grind, and in this scenario, to not appreciate that then you have to be asked, when you have to act indignant and when you're lying about all this other shit, it's to me that's what someone who's lying does.
What Lindsey Graham,
it's what someone who's lying does. If you're telling the truth, you say, "Look, I never did anything like this, and I did drink and." You don't present your fucking calendar as evidence that you didn't rape someone. You don't ask 65 women to say you didn't rape them, so therefore you're not a rapist.
Your Honor, I have a diary entry from the day in question. I would have written down that I raped that girl.
I would like to bring in 65 women that I did not rape.
Yeah, that is the craziest thing.
see,
Who's that 66? Get her out of here.
No, one of them was Renata, and then Renata's like, "Wait, get my fucking name off that list, you asshole!" Clearly, that was. By the way, the fucking Renata. Clearly, they're
when
talking
he
about
starts
they fucked her.
he starts
I didn't
getting
even know the
misty.
Renata thing. I didn't follow that.
Let
closely.
me
I
explain,
apologize.
dude.
In his yearbook,
Yeah.
him and a bunch of guys refer to themselves as Renata alumnus.
Because they all banged a girl named
They all
Renata.
banged a
and
girl,
then,
clearly
and they
that's
said,
what it
"Oh,
means.
she was just one of our friends." And then Renata herself came out and she was like, "Fuck you guys!"
Right.
Like she knew exactly what it meant.
No,
Yeah.
he said that they did it to make her like feel like part of the group because they're all so close to her. Shockingly, she had no idea that they're referring to her as Renata. Wouldn't you let her know? That
But I have no problem with none of us have a problem with them all saying we fucked Renata, right?
Right.
That was consent.
That's
No,
his
I have a
mistake.
problem
Yeah.
when he says
Well,
that I never did that.
My
That's
problem I don't have a problem with him saying he fucked Renata. I have a problem with him going on national television saying that he was a virgin through high school and college and didn't have sex till much, much after then when his yearbook
Bullshit.
says that he fucked Renata.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
exactly.
know he said he was a virgin all through whatever.
Yeah, no, he said
Well,
that.
I mean, not for lack of he tried to fuck the bitch. She wouldn't let him.
He was
man.
a hard drinking football player. Come on, man.
No, the problem is he then when they asked about what it means, he tries to give this choir boy act. This is what liars do.
Well,
A guy who's
even-
telling the truth is like, yeah, that was a jerky thing to do, but this has nothing to do with sexual assault, and I didn't do
They
that.
were all asking each other if they've had anal sex yet. I mean, these guys were not virgins.
Oh.
Like even when he said that he didn't know if he was Bart, and you would have to ask Mark Judge if he was Bart in Mark's book or not. He has a letter that he wrote to his friends that he signs it Bart. So obviously you're
sorry,
Bart.
Gino, in Mark Judge's, the other guy in the room during the accusation.
Oh, that I know. Believe it or
His-
not.
Also, the creator of Beavis and Butthead.
His book is about hard drinking, and he has a character named Bart Kavanaugh.
Oh, Kavanaugh.
Bart O. Kavanaugh.
Oh, that could be anyone.
Yeah.
That could be anybody.
Exactly.
So the fact that you're indignant when you
That I
should
did
be
not know.
expected.
That's great.
I mean,
Thanks, Dave.
you
didn't
should
know
be
that.
expected to be asked these questions. They're not out of line to ask questions when someone's saying you raped them or you tried to rape them.
Right.
And then to be indignant is you're putting on a show and you're a fucking liar. And then to have all these things where you're clearly not telling the truth.
Here's the thing.
He's talking himself into the fact that he's not a reliable, a trustworthy person, and that he probably did this.
Lindsey Graham is going right now. The Republicans are going with
Oh,
this
he's
argument.
going full Lindsey.
What they're going with the argument is, hey man, if we just let any woman come out and say she was raped by a guy just because she knew him at some point and can prove that they were in the same place, everyone will get accusations. And I don't think that's true.
Lindsay's just acting like someone's holding his twink over his head right now.
Well, I think Lindsey is acting like with the confidence of a man who knows that absolutely no women are ever going to accuse him of anything.
So wait, Lindsey Graham is the one that did the bathroom move? No.
Lindsey
No,
Graham,
no.
No, he's gay.
Lindsey Graham is believed to be openly gay in Washington, but closeted in his home state of South Carolina or North Carolina. He's a very
You see how much I follow politics.
he's a bit
This
of
is fucking great.
He's a bit of a Southern dandy, if you will. And he
I love that
comes
you're
up-
bringing back Dandy.
He's very feminine,
Right.
and a lot of people believe that he's secretly gay, but he's a Republican. And up until now, he was kind of like one of the better Republicans. He was not one of these Trump zombies, and now he's going.
he's full Trump.
He's going full emotion, trying to like win people over because some people think he wants to get the Attorney General job when Jeff Sessions leaves, and he thinks this is how he's going to get it.
Yeah, and even with the calendar, like, so there's a date in Brett's calendar. I think it's July the 1st, and people believe that this might be the date that Christine Ford is talking about, where Mark Judge is there, Squee is there, and they're having skis, which is brewskis, and there's other guys that he wrote in the calendar, but like. The Republicans are trying to say that, like, this couldn't possibly be the party that she's referring to because she didn't mention these other guys' names. But it's possible those guys could have arrived at the party after she had escaped.
It's 35 years ago, and it's like, you're not going to remember who drove you there. You're not going to remember who left, but you're going to remember the most traumatic moment of your life. I mean, I know somebody made a very good point about it. It's like, you know what we don't question? When a guy says 35 years ago a priest touched me.
Right.
Nobody thinks that guy's just trying to get attention.
No.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Is there any difference
Well,
between
I
the
think you
stories?
put it perfectly when you said what this trial is going to come down to is if you can hold someone accountable for something that happened, when he was that young, when he's, it's that far behind him and he's, trying out
Because I
for
think
this.
because Republicans, I think
That's a
most
great
of
way.
them-
I haven't heard anyone put it that way, and that's the perfect way to look at it. It's like, look, whatever happened, like people do terrible things with their kids, and I'm in no way condoning if he did it, that it was okay. But it's like that's what drives me nuts, like how far back they're going for this. But then again, you just said it, that Bork guy. It's amazing what people will like back then. The weed thing, I'm sure a lot of people like it was weed.
It's the 80s. even.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
but if the debate is should we hold people accountable for what they did in high school, then have the debate start there. Don't say that she's lying. Don't say that she's mistaking the identity for someone else. Say that they might have had a sexual encounter that he perceived
that's
as
kind of what not what I'm saying, but that's kind of a better. It's like when you're trying to prove an argument, you're like, this is the better argument to prove. It's like in football, when you want to review a play, you're like, are you reviewing if it was a catch or are you reviewing if it went out of bounds, and you pick the better of the two. And you're like, look, I don't care. We need to realize, even if he is found guilty of covering her mouth like an idiotic 17-year-old, he hasn't, he's a grown man with a family, and he hasn't done terrible things since. And I know that sounds terrible, but that's another way to look at it. It's like, look,
And I
we've done
agree
terrible
that-
things when we're kids.
And I agree he
But that's-
shouldn't go
but
to
then-
jail.
No,
But I think
well, it's
that-
a fact they've already said, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you know this, but they're like the people in the state where I'm like, this isn't a punishable offense right now. There's no way we would have enough evidence, or even if we could, to convict and move
right.
forward.
But again, the standard isn't conviction now. Should he be a Supreme
It's
Court
like
justice?
being a Supreme Court is like being president. It's a very different standard.
Well, I almost feel that you have more power being in the Supreme Court than you do as president, because it's a
Well, yeah,
lifetime appointment and you are able to affect change for a longer period
and
of
we
time.
already have one sexual creep on the bench already.
Who?
Clarence
Thomas.
Thomas.
You
Clarence
can't
Thomas.
send this message to the people of America that if you try to rape someone, we're gonna sweep that under. We're gonna ignore that if it happened a long time ago. We have to have some standards. And
But-
like the people, it's like the two arguments. If you're trying to lie and cover shit up, then you're just throwing every defense out there and be like, pick one, whatever you like. That's the one that's gonna make me be on the Supreme Court. If you're telling the truth about shit, you're like, well, this is what happened. I don't agree with. I was in the room with her, but I thought it was consensual or something like that. But you don't say that she's got the wrong person. And
Well, that was
and then say, well,
desperation.
even if she got the right person, it's you don't punish me. Then don't fucking say she has the wrong person.
But like, even if you took off the sexual allegations off the table, he shouldn't have been brought up for nomination to begin with, because he had already perjured himself in 2006 when he got the
Torture memo.
Right.
Yeah.
So he perjured
what?
himself.
He was working with the Bush administration when they got the torture memos, and he committed perjury when he's believed to commit perjury when he said that he was not involved, but he was.
He was involved,
Yeah, he
and
was
so
directly
like,
involved.
basically,
And
well,
Chuck Grassley's office, who's one of the people running this thing, was involved in that too. They were the people that he was like secretly
yeah,
contacting.
Grassley should have recused himself from this anyway.
He's not a great candidate to begin with. Yeah.
And then on top of that, on top of the torture thing, you also have the stealing of the Democrats' emails for judge appointments.
right.
So there was two things that he had already perjured himself to Judiciary Committee to begin with. So he should have never been brought up. And like for me, like I was just kind of pissed off that I felt like the Democrats tried to put on a face that they were playing hardball, but they really were throwing him soft lobs. Because if I was Camilla Harris or if I was Cory Booker, I'd be like, you've already done what's tantamount to perjury in this room before. Why should we believe you now that you say that you didn't do this? Like, you lied about torture. You lied about stealing these emails. You lied about racially profiling during 9/11. You lied about all these things. We have the emails to prove that you lied to us. We have your sworn statement saying that you didn't do these things and you didn't know these things. Why should we believe that you weren't in that room holding her mouth, pinning her down,
You know what
pulling
else
at her
makes him look
clothes?
bad? Just the fact that he brings up Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
The fact that he's like, this is because Hillary Clinton. And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, don't you know what that makes you look like when
Yeah.
you bring that up?
But she did this. No.
Like,
But
Hillary
it's-
Clinton's behind all this.
She
Well,
has
like-
the child sex ring, and now she's trying to deflect attention
That's
to
a
other
true
sex
thing,
trends.
the child sex.
It's totally true.
I think it's totally true.
Oh,
I'm not kidding.
completely.
Oh, stop it.
I've heard it's
I was
totally
one of the
true.
children that was
People don't know
molested by
you're
Hillary
kidding.
Clinton.
I don't even know if I'm kidding. Like I've heard.
No, I was
people
molested
say,
by Hillary
like,
Clinton.
You've heard lunatics say it. It's the
I
dumbest
hang out with a lot of lunatics.
It's the dumbest fucking conspiracy in American history.
I don't hide my knowledge and, more importantly,
That
lack
pizza
thereof of
place doesn't even
politics.
have a basement.
Look, I'm just saying. I heard some things, Dave.
Who do you hang out with?
Drunks.
QAnon.
Kittens.
I was one of the drunks from her college days. I was the old guy that showed up.
It was the fourth kitten that told her.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kid number 4.
Yeah, I believe it. We should probably take a break, right?
Yeah, we should take a break. This is Blame Storming. We will be right back.
Woo!